My name is Steve Mykytyn. I'm the corporate technical trainer for AprilAire, and this morning we're getting away from humidifiers and dehumidifiers. We're going to talk about Wi-Fi thermostats. This is a shorter webinar, so we should finish well within our 1 hour or 50 minutes is usually what I shoot for. Really appreciate you taking the time this morning to sit on this webinar. As always, any questions, please use the GoToWebinar tool and I'll do my best to answer them as quickly as I can. So today we're going to talk about the general reason why we have a Wi-Fi thermostat. We'll talk about the features and the benefits. We'll go through a little bit of the setup. We'll talk about the app. And then, of course, how you can reach out to us with questions, whether it be using our website or the toll-free number. So when we decided to get into Wi-Fi thermostats, we wanted to take a look at what was already out there, kind of assess the competition and what their focus was. When we looked at that, we saw that some of the companies were doing what I would call data gathering. They were really acquiring information about occupancy and those types of things. And then, of course, you've just got your basic heating and cooling with a remote interface. Proprietary systems, you had quite a bit of communication between, let's say, the compressor, the blower, and then the proprietary thermostat, and so that information would also be fed through the app. So it was more of a diagnostic or troubleshooting type emphasis. And then, of course, all of your retail Wi-Fi thermostats. We came at it then from the IAQ side. We thought, well, we're of course going to control heating and cooling, but if people are interested in AprilAire, they're really interested in humidifying, dehumidifying, fresh air ventilation, air cleaning, as well as heating and cooling. So we designed the app with that as our primary focus, the ability to control all those aspects of IAQ. And so looking at the competition, you can see they divide up into those 4 basic categories. And so we fit into that missing piece, that indoor air quality, which is focused at the homeowner. So the app is really designed for the most features, most benefits to the homeowner, the person who's got the IAQ products in their home. Overview of the Wi-Fi lineup. You can see we have 4 different Wi-Fi thermostat offerings. Starting on the left, our model 8476W. The W is for Wi-Fi. It's a standard push-button thermostat, programmable, controls heating, cooling, and then it also has what we call event-based air cleaning, which is the ability to control when your air cleaner is functioning. You can think of it as a more advanced blower control. Stepping up from that, you get into our touchscreen thermostats. The first entry in our touchscreen lineup for Wi-Fi is the 8620W. In addition to heating and cooling as a universal and multi-stage thermostat, so that means heat pump or heat cool. You get to also control event-based air cleaning as well as one other IAQ product. So you can think of it as humidification or dehumidification or fresh air. Then the 8910W, this gets us into our 2-piece thermostats. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. Because you have the separate module, the equipment control module, as half of this 2-piece thermostat, we now have dedicated relays so you can control each of our IAQ products. And then finally, our flagship Wi-Fi product, the 8920W, same features as the 8910W, but you have a much larger 7-inch full-color touchscreen interface. Delving into each of the thermostats in more detail, 8476W, up to 2 heat, 2 cool, or 4 heat, 2 cool with a heat pump. Of course, that's gas or electric. You can wire in an outdoor temperature sensor to give you your high and low balance points. Uses standard thermostat wires, so RWYG, etc. You also need a common wire. We don't offer battery-powered Wi-Fi thermostats. Our concern is that in some applications, the Wi-Fi information due to interference or signal strength issues may need to be repeated quite a bit, and our concern is that might drain the batteries sooner than a year. We want to make sure that if we're going to use batteries, they last at least a year, so all of our Wi-Fi thermostats are 24-volt powered right from the HVAC system. We do offer a component called model number 8022. It's a 3 to 4 wire adapter. Basically, it frees up a wire in the wall, so you can use that now available wire as your common wire. If you have any questions about that, give our tech support group a call. They're happy to explain it to you, send you a spec sheet, etc. The 8620W, also universal and multi-stage. It has all of the firmware for each of our IAQ controls. So it has the exact same firmware as our automatic humidistat, as our external control dehumidistat, as our fresh air ventilation control. So you have the ability to control one of those IAQ products in the same way you would if you were using the actual control itself, right from the thermostat, or probably more usefully, right from the app running on your smart device. As I mentioned before, now we're into the 8900 series, the 8910W. It's one of our two-piece thermostats. You can see you have the what we call the user interface, the thermostat piece that would go on the wall in the occupied part of the home, and then behind it, that's our equipment control module that would be installed right next to the HVAC system. There's only 3 wires needed to interface between these two halves of this 8910W thermostat. This makes it perfect for retrofit applications. So if you're upgrading a thermostat, upgrading an HVAC system, upgrading a thermostat, adding IAQ products, you may only have 3 wires in the wall, RWY, for example. You'd be able to step up to a multi-stage heat pump controlling a humidifier, a dehumidifier, and fresh air ventilation, and an air cleaner, all without having to pull additional wires. You could use those same 3 wires to allow the two halves of this thermostat to communicate together, and all the additional HVAC wiring and IAQ control wiring, including the outside temperature sensor, would all wire back to the equipment control module, which, as I said, is going to be located right by the HVAC equipment. So all that wiring is very easy to do from that location. And again, the main advantage is all of these features can be monitored and adjusted within the app on your smartphone or tablet. And then finally, the 8920W, same basic idea, 2-piece thermostat, 3 wires in between, dedicated terminals for each of our IAQ products, but you get a much nicer interface. I think we've done a good job using both that screen real estate as well as the colors to make it easy to quickly get information as to what's going on. Is my furnace running? Is my humidifier running? Just at a glance. And then if you need to, you can go into more in-depth right from the screen. And then we've also done that same sort of easy to read, easy to use interface on the app itself. Conceptually, what we were trying to do is we were trying to give you the ability to have a Wi-Fi dehumidifier or a Wi-Fi humidifier, etc. We've accomplished this by, again, having the thermostat controlling those products, but then having the thermostat interface via Wi-Fi to your smart device. So conceptually, it makes all of those things Wi-Fi products. All right, so let's talk about the features and benefits a little bit. To the homeowner, looking at the app, there's your There's your main screen for one of the thermostats in the lower right-hand corner. It happens to be the master bedroom. You can see, just at a glance, without having to go into sub-menus or additional screens, you can see heating and cooling set point. You can see indoor air temperature. You can also see if you're running a heating call, a cooling call, etc. Also, for each IAQ product you have installed, you can see their status as well without having to touch any additional areas of the screen. You can see if the humidifier is on, off, or idle, etc. You can also see indoor relative humidity, outdoor temperature if you have an outdoor temperature sensor installed. In the lower left-hand corner, you have the ability to see not just weather, but also pollen. We'll look at that in a little bit. And then there is a screen-sensitive help available as well. We'll talk about some of these a little bit later, but not just from a monitoring, but also from an information standpoint, we allow the consumer to set alerts. These could be for service. The contractor could also set these up. For high temperature or low temperature, for high relative humidity, low relative humidity, and if you have any issues with, let's say, a remote temperature sensor not reporting back. The high and low temperature and RH are particularly nice if you have a home that you're not currently in. If you have a home up north, the ability to know if the temperature is dropping to, let's say, 50 degrees gives you plenty of time to have someone check and see what's going on with your heating system long before you get anywhere near freezing. If you have a home down south, let's say in Florida, being able to get an alert on if the relative humidity gets too high, let's say you set it for 65%, you'd get an alert saying you've exceeded that value, again, giving you plenty of time to have someone figure out why the relative humidity has climbed long before you suffer any issues with mold growth or mildew or anything like that. Because of the way the app organizes your thermostats by location, makes it very easy to control a home that has zoning with multiple thermostats. Very easy to switch among the thermostats in the home, so you no longer have to physically go to each thermostat in the house. You can just monitor and control all of them right from your smart device. And then, of course, we talked about the help information and the support. The security aspect is more along the lines of the fact that our cloud-based server uses tier 1 security. We use the Amazon cloud as a way to secure all that. They're very familiar doing lots and lots of transactions. I also want to point out that the information that we're actually sending is just HVAC IAQ information. There's no occupancy sensor, so you're just getting set points, room temperature, relative humidity, IAQ status, those kinds of things. Just the same kinds of things you would see by looking at the thermostat itself. That's all the information going back and forth. I do want to point out that support, though, that is a dedicated app website. www.my.aprilaire.com is just for the app. So all the information there is focused on the app, makes it very easy to find what you're looking for. Taking a closer look at the main screen, you can see at the top you've got home, that's the location. So you'd have multiple thermostats, for example, in your home location. You might also have a vacation home or what have you. This thermostat's named master bedroom, and you can see a little bit better the detail there. In this case, we have a heating call occurring, the humidifier is on, fresh air is on, and because the blower is running, of course, the air is being cleaned. You can see the other status information there. And at the bottom, you can see where you would change the fan mode and then the HVAC mode as well. The key here is this is just at a glance. You don't need to go into any sub-menus to see basic information that is typically all you're looking for when you're thinking about what's going on with my IAQ products. There's a sidebar menu that drops down that gives you quite a bit of information. One of the nicest features for a consumer is this total comfort section. By clicking on that, they can get general information on indoor air quality, as well as specific information on humidity. Why is humidity a concern? What's a good humidity? Why should I have a humidifier in my house? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, for fresh air and air cleaning as well. We've gotten a lot of good feedback, both from consumers and contractors, that this is a great way to help them understand the value of the IAQ products they have, as well as to start the conversation about additional IAQ products down the line. If you don't have an IAQ product installed, you can choose to remove the tab or leave the tab on the thermostat, which would then have it also show up on the app. By doing that, having an IAQ product not installed but having it still show up on the app, when the homeowner clicks on that, it gives them the message you see here, indicating that, for example, you don't have any fresh air ventilation installed. It prompts you for a place to click on to see why that might be advantageous to you, and it also gives you a place to click on the contractor information. So this is information that you or the homeowner has loaded into the app. They know who to call with questions about their existing products or maybe a future purchase. Two features that I want to talk about are the away and the heat blast. The away is a really, really nice way to set your thermostat or your thermostats into setback, into the unoccupied mode. These are programmable thermostats, so typically you've adjusted the schedule to match your comings and goings. If you're deviating from that schedule, of course, you can always put it into a hold, but the away is an option right through the app. By touching it, you go into a preset temperature, heat set point, cool set point that you preset for the away setting, the unoccupied setting. So let's say you leave the house, maybe you're going on vacation, you forget to set back the thermostats. You can just open up the app and then hit the away button, and you've put that thermostat into that setback set of conditions. Heat blast is a way for, let's say you've got an aggressive setback, you come into the home, you want to heat the home up, you can hit the heat blast button. That will kick the heating on to its highest stage, and it will heat the home up a preset number of degrees. For example, maybe you set it up for 3 degrees Fahrenheit. So whatever temperature the thermostat is reading as the room temperature, if the homeowner hits the heat blast button, that would quickly heat the home up that 3 additional degrees. Between actually setting up the programmable thermostat scheduled to match their needs, using the government Energy Star recommended setback settings, as well as using the away button for when you're deviating from that schedule, the homeowner can realize a substantial savings in their heating and cooling bill. We think we've made this feature easy enough that consumers will actually now set their schedule and realize those savings. Many studies have been done over the decades showing that most consumers that have programmable thermostats aren't even aware that they have programmable thermostats, and even those consumers that are aware they have a programmable thermostat have never bothered to set the schedule. So I just want to take a couple seconds and show you that screenshot there on the left of our schedule setup. So you can see the screen gives you an entire day at a glance. So you see all 4 events. That makes it more intuitive for the consumer as opposed to stepping through, okay, what's your wake time? What's your wake heat set point? What's your wake cool set point? What fan setting do you want? That it's very difficult for them to sort of envision what they're actually doing. But having the whole day at a glance, they can quickly say, okay, I get it. I've got my overnight temperature. I've got the temperature I want it to be when I wake up, and then when I'm gone out of the house, when I come back, and then when I'm asleep at night again. So they can very quickly set that up. And then the key to this is not only is it easy to set up that day, but it's very easy to copy that to additional days, either one day or multiple days. Very easy. You just select which days you want that schedule to be effective for, and then you can set up a schedule for the remaining days. very, very quick, very, very easy. We think that this is going to allow more homeowners to adjust the schedule to match up with their actual daily routine. Let's get into the IAQ products a little bit. I mentioned before that we have the ability to control air cleaning with a feature set that we call event-based air cleaning. This gives the homeowner the ability to control when their air is being cleaned and to get feedback, letting them know that in fact their air is being cleaned right now. To help them make some of those decisions, when they click on that weather icon, in addition to the temperatures, you also see a zip code based pollen and mold count. This is zip code specific, so they're only seeing the dominant species in their zip code. So this is really useful for allergy sufferers. If they're allergic to tree pollen, grass pollen, weed pollen, or of course mold, you can see there graphically how big of an issue that's going to be. The point of this is they could then make some adjustments to their IAQ. When it comes to air cleaning, they might want to hit the 3-hour event, which would run their blower continuously, run their air cleaner continuously for 3 hours, or they could do the same thing for a 24-hour block of time. So in the example there, tree pollen is going to be at a 3. They were allergic to tree pollen. They could turn off their fresh air ventilation, for example, if they chose to do that, and they could run their HVAC blower for a full day to clean the air if they chose to do that. For a long, long time, we've been talking about the importance of using an automatic humidistat when controlling our humidifiers in most parts of the country. Again, this is to prevent damaging condensation. When you get the humidity too high and it's too cold outside for the windows to be able to maintain that relative humidity, the automatic humidistat prevents you from hitting dew point on your windows. You can see you have the same exact feature here, that same 1 through 7 scale. It also shows the indoor RH and, of course, the outdoor temperature. The key here is it's going to automatically adjust the relative humidity set point without the homeowner doing anything based on changes to that outside temperature. If the contractor or the consumer prefers manual control, that's also available right through the app. So they could directly set the RH set point. Dehumidifier control, same basic concept. Create a set point, shows you whether or not the dehumidifier is running, gives you the current relative humidity. You can turn it on and off right from that screen. Much easier than going physically to the dehumidifier. Just like we have event-based air cleaning, we have event-based ventilation. In the automatic mode, it will meet ASHRAE fresh air ventilation building codes. If the application isn't to meet code, it's for something else, you have the overrides like I talked about previously. I want to show you a little bit of detail on how the alerts work. If you're in the app, you get a badge there. You see there's a circle with the number 1 in it. You would also get an icon at the top of the screen if you weren't in the app. It's a little AprilAire house symbol, since you're not going to be in the app all the time. And also, you can set it up so that you get an email. So we'll actually send you an email letting you know that your thermostat or the name of the thermostat, if you have multiple thermostats, has exceeded whatever it might be: low temperature, high temperature, low relative humidity, high relative humidity. Easy to set up, and it's easy to tell what's going on. I'll point out that the temperatures there on that far right screen, those are in Celsius. That's why they're maybe a little bit lower than you'd expect to see. Our app, the organization of the thermostats in sort of a tree type setup, lends itself to making it easy to zone, whether it's a very, very large home or multiple locations or a commercial application. You can group thermostats however makes sense to you. So it could be by floor in a large home, it could be by building if you have a compound, or it could just be by house if you have multiple houses. Here at the AprilAire office, we have our locations as floors. So you have first floor, second floor, third floor. And so our building manager can very easily see what's going on with the thermostats. They're named something useful, and they're also grouped in a way that's useful. So here, for example, we have the app showing two locations, a location named Home with 4 thermostats and a location named Cottage with 2 thermostats. If we were to then click on the Home location, it would switch from locations to thermostats, that's the middle screen, and you can see a snapshot of all 4 of the thermostats in that location. Each thermostat shows the temperature that they're reading, and if it's a thermostat that can also read relative humidity, you see the relative humidity shown there. That might be all you need to see. That might be all you're curious about. If you want to see more detail, you can click on each of those thermostats. You get to the screen we've seen previously, giving you a snapshot information, just like you would see if you're actually physically standing in front of the thermostat. It's also very easy to switch between thermostats in that same location. I mentioned security earlier. Just want to make sure everybody's comfortable with this. We develop the software infrastructure. We own the software infrastructure. So we have control over who sees it, who works on it. It's a cloud-based connection, but it's encrypted. Like I said before, we're using Amazon Cloud as our server. They handle lots and lots of transactions, financial and otherwise. And just to reiterate, the information that's being sent from the thermostat to the cloud to the app on the phone is literally just thermostat information. Set point, room temperature, room relative humidity, is the furnace running? That's the information that's being sent. We've done our best to make the app as easy to use as possible, and a big part of that is that initial setup. I want to just go through the setup using screenshots from our quick start guide. I would strongly encourage you to use the quick start guide. Don't just grab the phone and download the app and start button mashing. It's a much smoother, much easier, much more rewarding process to go through the quick start guide. Following the quick start guide, it's really just 3 steps. Download the app, create a new account, connect the thermostat to your home network. It's as simple as that. I'll go through it in just a little bit of detail. We've got one guide for Android, one guide for iOS. I'm not going to go through both. You'll get the idea. You'll see that it's basically driven by the features of the operating system. So iOS has some inherent feature differences to Android. Other than that, it's the same flow. So let's take a look at the Android one. So this is the quick start guide for AprilAire thermostats using a device that's running Android as its operating system. Step 1, go to the Play Store, find the AprilAire app. You can see it there. It's a blue background with a white home with a Wi-Fi symbol inside. Download the app, install it, open the app. First thing we want you to do, tap New User. You're going to create a new account, just like you've done with many, many other devices. Fill out the information. Make sure you select an email address that you can actually access with this phone that you're using. When you register, you're going to be sent a confirmation email. This is the first mistake people make, is they forget to go into their inbox, find that email, open it up, and then click the confirmation button. That's the first step. Do that. should be smooth sailing from here on out. Then we're going to start the process of getting that thermostat onto your account. First thing we want to do is look at the actual thermostat on the wall and make sure that the Wi-Fi symbol is doing what we call strobing. That's indicating that it's broadcasting its ID, and so the phone will be able to find it as one of the Wi-Fi networks in the home. So just step through the process. So we haven't logged in yet. We're just going to click on Connect a New Thermostat. That's going to give you a list of all of the Wi-Fi networks it can find, including the AprilAire thermostat. Select that. It'll take just a few seconds for the thermostat to be registered to your account. Then you're going to, using your phone, you're going to find your home's Wi-Fi network, the Wi-Fi network that you want to use for this thermostat to get to the outside world. Find your Wi-Fi network, select it, put in your home's Wi-Fi password. This is also a big stumbling block. Most people don't enter in their home's Wi-Fi password very often. Sometimes consumers have to spend some time rummaging around looking at old sticky notes trying to find that Wi-Fi password, but this is the password of their Wi-Fi network. We have no idea what that is. Select that, hit finish, take a couple seconds for the two of them to connect. Then that is literally it. Now it's just a process of simply adding in the thermostat name, location name, zip code, contractor information, then you're done. Then you can view and make changes to the thermostat. If you have any problems with this, call our tech support group or go to my.aprilaire.com for assistance. But we're happy to help you. We've all got Wi-Fi thermostats in our house. We've all gone through this process, and we're happy to help you get your thermostat connected. I'm not going to go through the whole iOS quick start guide because it's fundamentally the same. Any difference are simply nuances inherent to the Apple operating system. And there's a shot of the my.aprilaire.com website on the right. And I mentioned before, if one of the screens in the app has some information that might be new to a consumer in terms of concepts or terminology, we'll have a screen context-based help available, that little circle with the question mark inside of it. Not every screen has this. We think most of the screens are self-explanatory, but on the screens that there's more detail, we've got that question mark available. Told you this was going to be a short webinar. Thank you very, very much for your time. I do appreciate it. And we've started including this type of slide just to make sure that you guys understand that our products are made right here in Madison, Wisconsin. We do appreciate you buying AprilAire products. We know that you are our customers. You're the people that keep us in business. I know you hear that from our customer service and sales departments. Our wonderful people in our manufacturing department wanted to make sure that you guys knew that they appreciate it as well. I'll go ahead and leave this screen up for just a couple of minutes, so if you have any questions, you can submit them. But while you're doing that, I just want to point out a couple things here. If you have any questions, whether it be product selection, application questions, installation, troubleshooting, anything like that, call that same toll-free number, 1-800-334-6011. If you haven't used it, when you call in, listen to the phone tree. There's actually prompts if you're a contractor on site. It's a very, very nice feature. So we can get you the assistance you need, get you up and running, get you on to the next job. You can always contact your AprilAire District Sales Manager. If you're not sure who that is, call tech support and they'll help you get in contact with that person. And then finally, I'm sure you're familiar with our website, AprilAire.com. Wanted to make sure you're familiar with our contractor-only website, AprilAirePartners.com. AprilAirePartners.com is going to have contractor useful information. So installation manuals, spec sheets, marketing information, training videos. We record the webinars and include them there. There's a wealth of information, co-op, all kinds of things located there, beyond just, brochures and that kind of thing. Thank you very, very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Hope you have a good day, and I look forward to seeing some of your names in our next webinar.